Hello again, everyone, and welcome into Bailey's Best. It's our third installment. We sit around and we basically talk about what's going on in the world of sports, especially in our little section of the world in sports. Brian Bailey with Zach Kaplan. Zach's back, and we're glad to have you back. And let's talk a little basketball first. The men and the women are quite the opposite right now. The men are struggling, and the women have it going on, don't they?
Yeah, the Pirate men just cannot buy a win in conference play. They're kind of following a pattern where they go down by double digits at the half, kind of fight back, and they've continued to. They don't quit in games,
right? They don't.
If you want to say something positive, they don't quit in games. They do have a way of making it interesting late. They've now done it with UAB and Charlotte both at home, and come up short in both games. UAB in overtime, Charlotte they lose by 3, and that's just kind of their MO right now. It's taken a while to figure out rotations. Mike Schwartz has at least made some progress with that, but the wins are still not coming. And this is a year now the Americans got a new format. The bottom 3 in each for the men and the women do not make the conference tournament, so their seasons are over once the regular season's over, and the Pirate men are squarely in the mix for that right now.
You look at the American standings. Florida Atlantic leads at 5-1. Memphis is right there 4-1, and then it's kind of a log jam right there in the middle. Charlotte's 4-2, Tulsa's 3-2, Tulane 3-2, South Florida 3-2, Temple 3-2, UAB's 3-3, Wichita State 3-3, North Texas 2-3, Rice 2-3, and then you get down to the bottom. East Carolina 0-5, UTSA 0-6. And the big key there, as you said, only the top 10 teams make the tournament. So East Carolina and UTSA right now on the outside looking in, they've got to get some wins and move up in the standings, or they're going to be sitting home when the postseason hits. But the Pirates in action tonight, and then coming up this weekend in Denton, Texas, taking on North Texas, a North Texas team 11-7 on the year, 2-3 in conference play. So there are certainly some winnable games. The Pirates have had to face some of the better teams in the American, but the American's very even.
Yeah, it is this year. Last year, Memphis, it felt like, was going to get an auto bid to the NCAA tournament regardless of what they did in American play. This year, not the case. They do have to win the league. And right now, obviously, like you said, they're sitting in second as we tape here on a Wednesday afternoon. And, it's probably going to be a one-bid league this year. The American, in my opinion, is down from what it's been in previous seasons on the men's side. But we'll see. This is a big week. They got winnable games. They got to have some of them if they want to get to Birmingham in the conference tournament.
For the ladies, East Carolina on quite the streak. They've won 4 in a row. They are 6-1 in conference play. Picked up a big win last night on the road. Anytime you can win on the road is big.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big win over UTSA, who won the regular season last year in the American. So obviously a win they wanted to have, and they had to battle for, but really controlled in the second half. And they've been impressive. 10 new players. It took November and the first part of December to figure out what this team was and how Kim McNeil wanted to use her lineups, but they've done a really nice job and now sit at second in the league.
You look at those standings, Rice 6-0, 16-3 overall. So Rice is the top of the conference. East Carolina, though, 14-6 overall. As you said, learning and trying to get better. They've gotten better. 6-1 in conference play. USF, North Texas, both at 5-2. Tulsa, UTSA, both at 4-2, and you go down from there. But as long as East Carolina can continue to take care of business, and they've got another road game this weekend. I believe they're on the road at UAB, and UAB is 0-7 and 7-12 overall. So another big chance, but you can't take anything for granted, but you got another big chance to win another road game.
And they've really done a nice job. Kennedy Fauntleroy has been one of the big stars.
She's been really good.
Yeah, got American Player of the Week. Kiana Rembert just hit 1,000 points for her career. Kim McNeil said post-game, it's we talk about so much about the transfer portal, but she's really done a nice job. Rembert came in. Kim said that's a player she wished she had all 4 years of college basketball, but has been a real nice impact, and Fauntleroy as well for ECU women this year.
Okay, 6 games into the ACC schedule, Duke and Clemson were the lone unbeatens, and then last night North Carolina State went to Clemson. Big win for the Wolfpack in that one. So as we sit here on this Wednesday, Duke 6-0, the only unbeaten in conference play. Clemson at 6-1, Virginia at 5-1 at the top of the standings. And as we were talking about it, you go to the bottom of the ACC standings. I mean, Carolina just 2-3, and they've got to turn things around. They can't cover the 3.
No.
I mean, they're giving up 3-point shots like it's candy. Wake Forest 2-4, Georgia Tech 2-4, Notre Dame 1-4, Pitt 1-4, Boston College 1-4, and Florida State 1-5. So there's some bad teams in the bottom of the conference, and you'll see those teams on that Tuesday of the ACC tournament. They'll be in action, ready to go. But what do you think about Duke? They won't run the table, I don't think. They're not that good, but they are really good.
And they're not as deep as last year. You're not gonna have a starting five that's all NBA lottery picks, but they've been steady, and not a lot of teams, even though Cal and Stanford are not good, not a lot of teams have gone out west and swept that trip since they joined the league. But Duke obviously did that. They beat Cal by 15, they beat Stanford by 30, and it looks even better when Carolina can't beat either of them. So it was that much more impressive of a sweep for Duke. Clemson, like you said, unbeaten, and then NC State goes and gets a huge win. They had a terrible loss to Georgia Tech over the weekend, so they really needed that quad one win over Clemson to kind of get back into off the bubble of the NCAA tournament. But they have a lot of opportunities for them, and that's the big thing, Brian, is like the league is so much better this year. Virginia, Ryan Odom has completely turned the Cavaliers around,
and they do a completely different style of basketball, and they're going to name the court for Tony Bennett coming up this weekend. But really, when you look at everything that goes on with Virginia basketball, and they've gone from this slow down style where
51-47,
you choke the opposition and you just kind of squeeze it out of them. And now they got this team that they're not necessarily running and gunning, but they really play. I think they play high quality basketball, and they'll be in the hunt down the stretch for the ACC title.
I mean, you go from the pack line defense. This must feel like the Showtime Lakers when you watch from the 51-47 beat you to death.
And he got a bunch of he's got a whole new team, and he's got them meshing early on. So that's a good sign for Virginia basketball. Yeah, I've been a Virginia fan since I was a kid, so we'll see how that goes. All right, let's take our first break here on Bailey's Best. We talked basketball. Coming up next, we'll talk Pirate baseball. East Carolina had Media Day last week, and we'll talk about that coming up when our show continues after this. All right, welcome back to Bailey's Best. Let's talk a little Pirate baseball now. East Carolina set to open up the season coming up February 13th. Xavier in town for a 3-game series. The weather is going to be a big problem this weekend. They've already moved the banquet from this Saturday. If you know Pirate baseball, you know they have this huge banquet, 700 folks. So they moved it to February the 7th. So that'll be right before the opener, which is going to be kind of a neat deal there. So it's a late banquet this year because of the threat of snow coming up. But Media Day was a lot of fun. I think this Pirate baseball team feels like they're going to be pretty good.
They feel like they've solved a lot of last year's issues, which some of which they alluded to, some of which we heard about last year as it went, some of which I think you've kind of heard more about over the course of the year. And then obviously Monday, they were really vocal about how different this year feels. And the big thing is they kept this core. And in an era where East Carolina is not throwing, bagmen with money, to keep you here. But, Cliff Godwin is a real believer, kind of like Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. I think he mentioned by name that his culture is going to be what keeps guys here. And, the results speak for themselves that he's been able to do that, keep top talent here that could have gone elsewhere.
Well, I think when you see guys like Gavin Williams and Alec Burleson and Treya Savage and you see what those guys were able to do, I mean, whatever money guys can make in baseball through NIL pales in comparison to what they can do if And all of them aren't going to do that, obviously. But, I mean, it's a matter of just, if you come in, you work hard, they see a path to Major League Baseball, that it happens. And we got so many guys in the minors, too, that are trying to move up. So there is a path out there.
And the other thing, too, is they schedule so well in non-conference. We're playing Carolina, playing Coastal, the national runner-up this year, that you're going to have scouts at these games. You're going to be able to get noticed. This isn't like, a little old backwater program that, I think the perception was at one point, but, Cliff has obviously came in and changed that, and you're going to get noticed and, get to the major league level if you put in the work, and, the guys realize that.
Let's take a look at some of the best interviews from Media Day. Let's take a look at just what the Pirate players were able to say, what they were thinking, and let's take a look at that right now.
Such a blessing by God for me to be the head coach of my alma mater. I can tell you this place means a lot to me, and I thank God for keeping me here when I've had other opportunities to go other places. We're super excited about the season. last year was not what we wanted, and if you're in our organization, even though we played well at the end, that's not the standard of a regular season that we want to put together.
Overall, not only they have the experience, but just that comfort level coming in year two and knowing that they've been they've produced, right? They've been productive at this level, and now they can kind of lean into what coach wants in terms of the leadership piece, because they kind of know what they need to do individually.
I'd say everybody's connected this year. It's been fun. I've had a lot of fun, being around this group of guys. Every day it's exciting go to work. Last year there may have been times where it was just like, oh, today's another day. But this year, I feel like I haven't had one of those days yet.
We have a next man up mentality, so really anybody can step up in any spot at any time, and we've got a lot of really, really good players through every position, and that competition has actually made us a lot better just because every day everybody's really competing. And I think that component itself is going to help us be a lot better as a team, especially through the stretch.
We've got a lot of good infielders, and I think it's a good thing because, we have injuries throughout the season, and I think having that depth in the infield it's great. They both show that they can really play, and I think it's just great that we have these many great players on the infield.
Man, I think we got a lot of talented new guys. Gavin Van Kempen's been a really nice piece. Luke Payne's done well, Colby Weber, Ethan Rose, I could go on and on. I think we brought in a lot of good pitchers this offseason, and it's going to be a fun year for us.
As you can tell, it's a very confident bunch, isn't it?
Yeah, but much more confident going into this year. I think last year you knew there were going to be some new pieces. The whole position group was different last year, whereas this year they really feel like there's a lot more versatility. They feel like they have 3-4 guys that can play anywhere on the infield. Braden Burris can play literally anywhere on the field, and you have just a much more cohesive group off the field, yes, but on the field, a lot more options. And, Cliff Godwin, you can tell, it really rubbed him the wrong way that injuries were able to bog them down last year.
Right.
And that was a huge priority for him and Jeff Palumbo putting this team together in Austin Night, of having depth and having options.
And it really sounds like that the mound, on the mound, the starters, the bullpen. There's going to be some guys just chomping at the bit to pitch.
Yeah, and and even the guys that start midweek, or are not a weekend starter, you're still going to be pitching high leverage innings, regardless of who the opponent or the date is. And they feel really good about having a stable of guys who can make those midweek starts, but also pitch in high leverage spots.
All right, Pirate Baseball again starts on February 13th, East Carolina and Xavier at Clark LeClaire Stadium for a 3-game series. Hopefully it's a little warmer.
Better be.
It's going to be
Better
this
be.
weekend. Let's take a break. Back with more on Bailey's Best for you right after this. All right, welcome back to Bailey's Best. Let's talk high school basketball. And it's one of the best times of the year for high school basketball because of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Farmville Central, Kinston on Saturday. Then on Monday, Farmville has another bunch of games. And really, it's the best time until we get to the playoffs. And that's a little bit, because games matter so much more. But still, these games matter as far as seedings and that kind of thing go.
Yeah, they definitely do. And you get some of those great matchups that you wouldn't otherwise get. It's kind of like the last bit of non-conference games, and what a great event at Kinston. Donald Ingram, Brandon Ingram's dad, really goes above and beyond putting it together. Antoine Jameson was in attendance, watching his son, and they bring back. The cool thing they do is they bring back a lot of the old Kinston players, coaches that are now coaching other teams.
Right.
So you have Wells Gullidge at Ashley, you have Dory Hines at Myers Park, among
I didn't
others.
recognize Wells Gullidge, by the way. He had that beard going and everything, and like us all, he's gotten a little gray, but love Wells Gullidge. What a great guy, and good to see him on the highlights.
But they do such a good job. And Kinston themselves, the gym was packed. My sauna in my gym wasn't as hot as the Kinston gym on Saturday night, but they played Goldsboro, and they got a big win over, as I understand it, that was kind of the old rivalry back in the day.
Well,
now it's more, with Farmville and with other schools, but that was a really cool spectacle.
Dory Hines was back. Of course, he's a former Kinston star, and he's coaching now. So, a lot of schools aren't able to do that because they don't have the tradition. They don't have all of that goes into everything. But Kinston's one of those schools like Farmville, just basketball rich in tradition.
Yeah, and on the other side with Farmville, they had a great event Monday night. It was just as packed at the Jaguar Den when they took on Martin County, who came in with only one loss and is another team that has really been impressive to me this year. And it was tied at the half. You could sense a little nerves in the gym. I had to leave and come back and cut the highlights for our 11 o'clock show, but Farmville able to pull away, get a 14-point win there, and they remain unbeaten. They've had some health issues. They had the flu. Larry Williford told us that it's run rampant through his team.
Yeah, he said it was worse than COVID. And you think back to those days of COVID, there was some bad, dark days as far as, people getting sick and everything. But he said this flu right now, and I can tell you, I had it last week.
You would know.
It's not any fun. And when you're trying to be an athlete and trying to hustle and trying to do stuff like that, and the thing I thought was really cool what Coach Williford said, he's got a bunch of players that want to play. They're not trying to sneak out of practice and act like they're sick just to be lazy.
Yeah.
Those guys, there's not a lazy bone in that program. I mean, they love to play basketball. They love to represent Farmville Central, love to be the Jaguars, and they're always really, really talented, really good.
We talk about lineage. I mean, Kinston's been good forever. Farmville was, Farmville was chasing Kinston when Larry Williford first started, is what he told me. And obviously, they've certainly done that now. They brought them 4 state titles and one with COVID. So they have really set the standard. And they're a deep team. They're not your high flying, flashy. We're gonna throw it off the backboard, dunk it to ourselves.
I like those teams.
I mean, they're better for highlights. Selfishly, I think I do too. But they're a team that they run 3 deep. They're not 3 deep. They run a lineup that really has 3 talented scorers and a bench that is even better. And we still don't know just how good they can be because they've had those health issues.
Yeah, I'll tell you another team to look out for. J.H. Rose, Robert Duck and Company. They went on the road to play New Bern. New Bern only lost 1 game, and Rose wins at New Bern. That was a big game from last night. And you think about rampant basketball. They've got it going on in that Big Carolina Conference.
They do, and James Rankin's the coach for a long time. Coach Duck comes in, and year 2 he comes over from South Central. He took the girls to state, and then he comes in and he's really rebuilt that program. There's a swagger to them that I think wasn't quite as rampant, no pun intended, when I first started here.
Very good.
And they just, there's a swagger about them and just a confidence that this is their Big Carolina and everyone else can come for it, but it's their league and they have that mindset every night they take the court.
Yeah, and unfortunately you get through exams, you get ready to get back to work, and then all of a sudden the weather's going to come in, and the first part of next week is really a question mark. So we don't know how much basketball is going to be played, and then once you start stacking games together, you're playing 2 or 3 or 4 in a row. That's when you get some upsets and that kind of thing. But still, it should be a lot of fun as you get ready for the playoffs later on. But we got a lot of basketball to go before we get to that. Let's take another break here on Bailey's Best. Next up, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. We are down to the Final 4. Your favorite team is one of those 4.
They are.
So we'll talk about that. Back with more on Bailey's Best for you right after this. All right, welcome back to Bailey's Best. NFL football down to the Final 4, AFC Championship, NFC Championship coming up on Sunday. Looks like the weather's going to be okay in both spots, right? I mean, I think we'll be okay in Denver, Seattle. Yeah. Seattle's got a roof, right?
They do. They can, over the fans, not over the field.
Ah, okay. I knew they had some kind of roof.
Denver's going to be cold. If this game was in Foxborough, they would have a lot of trouble playing it. And it's a good thing for the NFL that it's not. I selfishly wish it was, but this storm that's going to hit North Carolina is now they're kind of moving the line a little bit further north, so New England is going to get some. But games in Denver and Seattle, weather should be okay.
New England and Denver, the 3 o'clock kickoff right here on WNCT, Channel 9, CBS. And when you think about that game, Denver's so tough to beat in Denver, but the big Bo Nix deal. How do you like that? You win a playoff game, you're going to the championship. Hey, the good news is you're in the championship game. Bad news is your quarterback just broke his ankle.
It's unbelievable. And they found that out in the locker room.
Right.
I mean, just I can't remember a head coach coming out after the game and telling the media that. It was after his press conference, I believe. He came out separately, and I can't imagine the shock. And now you got to move forward with Jarrett Stidham, who's a former Patriots backup, and see if he can pull a Jeff Hostetler, Doug Williams. There's been a few backups in NFL history who've led their team to a Super Bowl, but this would be a new one.
Yeah, I think you got to take the Patriots in that game because of the quarterback situation, and I think Drake May's had an NFL most valuable player type season, and he's been really, really good.
The only thing, New England 0-4 historically in the postseason in Denver. Brady lost 2 to Manning. There was the game with Jake Plummer where Champ Bailey picked off a pass and Ben Watson ran across the field to knock him out at the 1-yard line. It looked like an easy pick six. That was 2005. And then Steve Grogan lost one back in the day. There's a name for you.
Wow. What number was Steve Grogan? 14?
14, I believe.
How about that? See, I don't know what I had for breakfast, but I remember
Grogan.
What number Steve Grogan was. How about that?
Steve Grogan and Tony Eason, 80s Patriots, lost a game back
Tony
there.
Eason was 7.
I believe so.
I'm not sure.
We'll fact check
I think he was 7 in college.
Yeah.
All right, Rams and Seattle.
We'll see what happens. I think
Rams
New
and
England
Seattle
wins
in the NFC Championship. A lot of people like the Rams in that one, but I think Seattle at home is going to be very difficult.
They split in the regular season, 2 classic games, and the Rams continue to just live by the skin of their teeth. We saw it in Charlotte with Carolina.
They should have lost that game.
Barely beat them. The Bears. I mean, Williams with one of the all-time throws.
That was a great pass.
If they win that game, and we're talking about as an all-time playoff play.
Yeah.
But they don't, and so
everybody forgets it.
It's kind of like they've kind of just skated by in 2 games. I feel like I like Seattle personally because they've just been more dominant and more consistent. Rams, though, that if it's a close game late, I don't know what Sean McVay has up his sleeve, but they just keep figuring it out.
And then one of the worst weeks in sports is the week before the Super Bowl because you have nothing going on that weekend, and then of course you have to wait. It's a 2-week wait for the Super Bowl. And
what are we going to run in our shows when there's weather here, nothing going on, and then
we'll just let weather have the whole thing?
How about that?
How about that, Jerry Jackson? You can have it. Have all that ice. Have all that snow.
Yeah, they've always wanted the time in the show.
That's right.
So we'll just give it to them.
So they can have it because it's going to be a slow week locally if that stuff hits as bad as it's supposed to. So, all right, New England, Denver, 3 o'clock. Rams in Seattle is at 6:30. Good luck to your Patriots this week. That'll be a lot of fun. I know when your favorite team's playing in a big game like that, it's always. Well, I can't remember. It's been 30 years since the Cowboys have played in a big game like that. So we'll see you back here next week right here on Bailey's Best.